All right, hey, can you guys hear me? It's Jamie, your Keto Daddy, coming to you with Keto Paleo Live. A lot of requests this week, even after last week's Facebook video, to break it down even farther, and that's fine. I'll continue to answer and re-answer these same questions over and over and over again. Love helping people, so we'll get it broken down for you. So, also last week I was told I went a little too fast, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Okay, so a lot of questions we get over here at PFP is how do I set up, or how do I even start on coming up with a basic diet for myself? And that's exactly the right words, for yourself. Okay, you have to find some things that work for you, but you also need to start somewhere. Okay, and you need to start with some simple concepts and some things that are pretty much cookie cutter. So if you find something that works perfect for someone as far as macros and calories and stuff like that, don't think that that same exact plan is going to work for you. So I always recommend we start with something real basic, real cookie cutter. But that being said, you also have to have a basic understanding of some things. Okay, so first of all, I combine two ideologies, and that's how I get the Keto Paleo thing. And first of all, the first question I always get is, what is paleo? Paleo, for those of you who don't know, or a paleo diet, sometimes referred to as the caveman diet, sometimes referred to as a natural human diet. What that basically comes down to, or the concept from the 50,000 foot view or 2.5 million year view, is that you eat what we ate through most of our evolution. Okay, so that would be anything you could hunt or gather. So that really leaves you limited to meat, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And even the fruits and vegetables are going to be seasonal. Okay, same with the nuts and seeds. So that, in a basic nutshell, is where the paleo part comes from. And then there's a lot of healthy attributes you can get from the paleo part that will help you reverse a lot of the damage or metabolic issues that you've had with a modern diet. And a lot of things associated with a modern diet can be things like leaky gut, lots of brain inflammation. You see a lot of press on gluten allergies and stuff like that from grains. Well, a lot of these grain-free products are coming around, but they're still a very, very high glycemic load, or causing a huge insulin reaction to that thing. So when you go to a paleo diet, which is gluten-free because it doesn't include any grains whatsoever, you automatically go into that ballpark, and it helps alleviate a lot of brain inflammation that may go undetected because there's no real way to test for that, okay? Other things, anxiety, and lots of other issues that you can reverse with a standard paleo diet. So that being said, the next thing we need to really talk about before we talk about a ketogenic diet is a lot of people, I say macros this, carb that, fat that, protein this. They don't understand what that is. So in a nutshell, if you turn over the back of a label of anything, it'll have a nutrition label on it. And a lot of times they break that down into fat, carbohydrate, and protein. And there's some subcategories in there, but we'll review that a separate time. And what that is what makes up 3 macromolecules of most foods that we eat or ingest or digest, whatever you want to say. And that's how you break it down. And that's what you need to adjust to put yourself into a state of nutritional ketosis. Okay, so carbohydrate being the main one, you need to lower your carbohydrate level. Most people to under 50 grams of carbohydrate a day, and that's going to depend on the individual. Okay, so that's cookie cutter right off the bat. Keep that in mind. A sufficient amount of protein, which is usually referred to as a moderate level of protein, and I know there's a lot of people out there in the bodybuilding world that would really scoff at the level of protein that I ingest, but still continue to get stronger. And then fat. Fat ends up being the lever or the energy source in this diet. Okay, so you have carbohydrate, let's say macromolecules, fat, carbohydrate, and protein. And from those, you can manipulate those to put yourself into what's called a state of nutritional ketosis, lowering your carbohydrate level enough that you actually stop burning glucose as your primary fuel source. Okay, so those are the two things that we put together. And from that point on, what you have to kind of decide is why you would be doing this particular diet if you're setting up a ketogenic diet. Are you doing it to reverse metabolic issues? Do you have type 2 diabetes? Is there epilepsy in the issue? Is it for, are you trying to gain weight? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you just trying to try something new? Okay, so at that point, you'll more than likely come across what is called a BMR, or basal metabolic rate. Okay, basal being base, metabolic being what energy source you're using, and your rate, so what it basically comes down to is how many calories a day you need to be you and achieve your goal. So if you're trying to lose weight, you usually incorporate some type of deficit. So what a basal metabolic rate would do is you figure out, so say Jamie weighs 210 pounds, how many calories I need a day to maintain that 210 pounds and train like I do. Okay, so that being said, if I wanted to lose a little bit of weight, I would have to find a little bit of a deficit in there. So maybe say my calorie intake is 2,000 calories a day, and I want to take away about 10% of that and see a gradual decrease in fat body composition. Okay, those are cookie cutter numbers again. You have to find out what's going to work for you, but you need to start with something. So on the horizon, you guys are familiar with my app, Keto Check. That's a real basic app used to help discover and figure out what's keto. And it has some basic cookie cutter percentages on there and grams and stuff like that. That's just to get you started. Keto Check 2.0 is going to have a little more built into it for you. You're going to be able to have a basic BMR calculator in there. I'm currently fond of the Harris-Benedict formula because it has an age coefficient in it, so look forward to that. And it also will have, for those of you familiar with Keto Check that can just check one item at a time or sample a whole recipe, this will allow you to build a plate as well and even save some of your favorite meals. So that's coming on the horizon. So to give you the basics, that's it. So depending on what your goal is, what your need is, you're going to have to establish some type of calorie intake. And if your goal ultimately is to lose some fat, you're going to have to figure out exactly what kind of deficit you need and you can live with. And then you're going to have to adjust your macros to fit that profile. And like I said, there's cookie cutter out there, so usually it's under 5% carbohydrate or 50 grams of carbohydrate a day, depending what way you attack it. Moderate protein level, so that could be 25 to 35% of that basal metabolic rate, depending on your activity level and if you're a weightlifter or if you're just an athlete or a runner. Also, fat is going to be your energy lever in that one. So keep the questions coming. I hope that wasn't too fast. I hope that was the very bare bones of this. This is Jamie, your Keto Daddy. Eat like you care about yourself. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.